Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at Bitcoin and everything else. So yesterday everything started pulling back again in the mornings and continued throughout the day. It basically was following stocks, which again is a very clean rejection, a very nice and clear rejection from the descending trend line. So something we were more than aware of, obviously, expecting a pullback of this size around this area, which is why we got out on stocks there. Now we're getting the full, well, not the full pullback, but a bit more of a follow through, finding support in this intermediate area, sitting around on the S&P around 3,800. The DAX was more of an obvious trade, which is why I was shorting the hell out of it over these last couple of days. And again, that was because it was overextended. Also because the ECB were going to do their thing, and they did their thing, and that's what helped kick everything else down the stairs. Because their basic outlook was one of a school child. You're just hoping everything's going to be okay. It was pretty crazy if you think about what they've projected. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it's not a very professional outlook, let's just say it like that. I mean, it's just to oversimplify inflation the way that they did, basically just took away all confidence in the markets. And I expect further downside for the DAX. This bear market rally to which we've had, has an opportunity to bounce here, same as the S&P, same as Bitcoin, as we'll see in a minute, but it's not very convincing. The only thing that didn't seem to move at all, not really, was the Dixie. So the Dixie had a little bit of an uptick yesterday, coming up to its 10 exponential, where it often gets rejected. It's been rejected this way since we told everybody the top was in. So we've come up to that area, and we didn't get rejected from it. We didn't break above it. So again, there is something, there does feel like this simmering problem now for everything, right? So we've had a decent rhythm on this Dixie, just like we've had decent rhythm on all these charts, and we've been able to trade them pretty well over the last, well, so 9 weeks or so, excluding crypto because of FTX, but everything else has followed very nicely from the overall direction of this giant swing trade, the Everything Bounce 2.0 that we did. But now it does feel as though the next big swing is likely to be one of bearish momentum and bullish Dixie. So dollar bulls back in town, basically. So we were saying for the most part of the week, we're looking to see where this week closes for the Dixie. And it has closed above the green 50 exponential moving average on the weekly. So with this in mind, I would generally expect it to move back up. I would expect it to move back up maybe to the 20 exponential. So we're talking 107. Maybe even the center of this Bollinger Band, which is 108, almost 109. So we should expect all of that because, again, not to keep referring to the old videos, but we made a big deal about this being the top, and the destination was here, which is why we got in on stocks and everything, basically, and in crypto, waiting for the Everything Bounce 2.0 for the rejection, which was going to take us down to the 50 exponential, and I said between 2 to 6 weeks we'll reach there. It took a little longer, but we reached there. We've sort of fannied around a little bit at this level, and now we're finding our bounce. So, with that in mind, where does this leave crypto? Because again, crypto has been extremely weak throughout the entire time. What are we supposed to take it on face value? Because we did that before for the Everything Bounce, and although we made a fair bit of cash doing this, we didn't really make much money doing this. It worked out for a little bit until FTX broke it. Now we've gone back down into the area where we basically, as far as the analysis, when we're back down here, it worked out very nicely. We came up into this box in incremental $500 steps, but now we've come all the way back down, smashing down below the major area of support, which was around the 17,300, and then all the way down to this area, which again held for a reasonable period of time, had quite a lot of support here. We're looking at this on a 4-hourly, and we broke out and carried on with this the latter stage of this uptrend. So we're back down here again, and as far as higher highs, higher lows is concerned, it's over now for this short-term time frame. So I am in favor, or still technically am in favor of a small alt season, but let's just get it straight. The alt season is based upon a Bitcoin dominance rejection from roughly around this 42% area, right? Roughly around this area. And a rejection on here doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make any money when it comes to your dollars, pounds, euros, or whatever. It means that you should be looking to increase some sats. That's basically what it means. That said, there's so much FUD going around at the moment for Binance And, you know, I'm not the greatest for fundamentals. I've got, in my own head, reason to believe that they're not going to go insolvent. They are pretty cash rich. But I also think that they have done dodgy stuff in the past, and they might still be doing dodgy stuff now. But either way, the FUD, I'm not going to say is real, but it's relatively potent, should we say, when it comes to the market. And as we all know now that you know, since the last year, 18 months, or probably a little bit more maybe, BNB actually launched so hard into the stratosphere that it became top 3 crypto, second to Ethereum. So if we start to see something like BNB go down, just down in value, then we should really expect the dominance chart to continue to go up. So the FUD can basically contradict the chart, even though the chart suggests that we should be looking for a bit of a rally on alts, even if it's just versus their sats at this stage. So, you know, we looked at this quite a few times on the Patreon over the coming weeks, and BNB has always been one of the best charts in crypto. And technically, at the moment, you know, you could probably still agree that it is the case. But all good things come to an end, and this is a sharp pullback now that we're having now on this weekly. Very sharp indeed. So far down 30% versus its Bitcoin pair. And this is what we should really focus on, is the Bitcoin pairs, right? As far as its chart structure is concerned, on price still seems reasonable in a way, but we're below a 21 exponential moving average, which basically means we're likely to stay below it now. And if we're going to stay below it, then we should expect a further pullback, maybe to 0.011 sats, which means further downside on this one to the tune of another 20%. So that would be from top to bottom, we're talking 50% pullback, 50% retrace, 43, 42% retrace on its Bitcoin pair. And again, we don't know what this translates to when it comes to fiat pairs. We don't know, because we don't know what the price of Bitcoin is going to be. But as far as this chart's concerned, this looks like it's finished its current rally now, to be fair, and wants to run back down. So we're crossing down on the 0 point over here. I mean, far above the 0 point, to be honest with you, but it's a steep cross. And the last time we did something similar to this was over here, and we did sort of tail off a little bit further until we reached a 50 exponential. So the 50 exponential is neither here nor there right now for this, because there's been such a sharp pullback here, and it's FUD orientated that I'm not massively convinced that the 50 will hold it. It's more likely it's going to come back down to that significant horizontal there. As far as the daily is concerned, completely wrecked city broken chart with continuing momentum. We can look at this and go, well, that's pretty oversold, but really that's not how we should choose to interpret anything. This would be oversold. This would also be oversold. Look at the money flow index sitting all the way down here. It's probably the lowest it's ever been. Sharp sell off, and probably going to see a little more of that to come. But the Bitcoin dominance chart does say to us that this is an area not of great significance, but of an intermediate zone where we should start to recoup some sats. It's not the greatest area for rejection. Not like this one. This was, you know, one of the biggest trades of this year, where we've got in on altcoins and rode it all the way down. It's not the same. We'll be looking for small gains if we're going to get any, and we're already seeing, like I say, a bit of a rejection from this 42% area. I'm not a massive believer that this alt season is going to make anyone any money. If anything, it might protect you from incredible downside if you're in the right alt. Really, when we think about it, even though that the TA applies to this, which it does, the risk to reward probably doesn't balance out too well. In fact, you're probably looking to risk as much or maybe a bit more than the reward. So it would involve, if you want to trade something like this, even though the opportunity is there and it does offer something, the FUD is real, which would impact this dominance chart. And with that would come basically catastrophe for alts. Just like a support breaking is bad for price, this resistance breaking will be bad for alts. And if this resistance breaks this time round, we'll be looking for some serious moves. Just as we did on this one up here, and everyone was saying we're going to break all the way up, this one could be the one that's done it, because we've been down at this level for a long period of time now, and this is what general accumulation looks like on any charts, sitting around at a low level for, what is this, 9 months now. Looks like it could be an accumulation. We've got a 50 exponential moving average sitting around here at 42% dominance. And from there, it's basically just horizontal areas of significance until we reach these zones. So it does look like the dominance chart could seriously break out if we were to simply just break from these areas. Again, if you move it back to the daily, we have broken the 200 exponential, we've broken the 200 simple. These are all areas that I put on the chart, that I always have on the charts in expectation of a resistance. We had these resistances prove quite decent in the past, not this time. The FUD is real and the FUD is helping this. And then not only to boot, and then to boot, we've got a pump signal now generated on this dominance chart. So the itchy cloud has formed a pump signal. Green portion of the cloud, price action above cloud, cheeky span above the cloud, and a positive cross down here. So 4 components that should lead to a pump signal. So risk to reward does not feel particularly great, although there is some chance of maybe alt season is not the right word, but a bit of a rally on alts versus their Bitcoin pair. But risk to rewards would suggest that, to be honest with you, if you're a conservative trader or if you've got money that you don't want to lose, then it's probably not the best idea to trade it. The better ones, the better alt seasons are done from higher levels. Like this one is the best one that we had this year, and obviously this one is the best one that we ever got hold of. This is the best alt season that we ever managed to deal with on the chart. And again, a clear rejection from a high area on the chart gives you thousands of percents. These will give you dozens of percents. So to put it into perspective, the charts do not reflect anything other than small term gains versus their Bitcoin pair. And it's difficult to say right now because at the moment we're still continuing to go down. There's no momentum, there's no nothing, and BNB is in serious trouble as far as its confidence is concerned. So with that in mind, it's probably best to just continue to sit on the sidelines. I did enter a position yesterday on Algorand, down a little bit now. Down 50 sats on that. I'll show you what I'm referring to. And we looked at this on what am I doing here? We looked at this last night on the Patreon. There is a lot of altcoins that are at major supports, or thereabouts, or approaching major supports. I'll go to BTC. If we just take it back and look at it on a weekly here, and we'll put it on a log scale. There is this zone down here, which is where we've had decent bounces. We've had wicks down below lower than it before, but around the 1,200 sat zone. Basically just trying to front run the 1,000 sats. Basically, that's the deal here. Similar to how you try and front run a cent or something like that. You go for 1.1, 1.2 cent to front run that. So you're looking for a reaction here, but so far we've not got it. In fact, it's down just under 50 sats from my entry point. And there's not a great deal on this chart that actually looks very encouraging at this point. So whether I decide to stay in this trade is a different story. I'm going to monitor it throughout the day. Not particularly looking very happy about it at the moment, I have to say. And if BNB continues to fall, it will take the dominance chart up, which will, by association, bring all alts down, as people most likely flee into Bitcoin or wherever, but they don't want to stay in alts, because the next major opportunity for an alt season would not be anywhere other than either here at best, which is again it's like another 2% higher, but most likely it'll break higher than that and we'll be back into this box towards 58% dominance, and that's where we might get a much stronger, better reaction where we can, like I say, double our money like we did last time. Either way, this weekend is one of caution, especially as the traditional markets have closed, and they closed like this. They did close with an uptick, like I said they would, but it's not looking very good across the board, and the Dixie's still looking to bounce. So the larger overall analysis still applies. In here, out here, anything other than this right at this stage right now should be one of a scalpy sort of trade. No long-term positions. The big swing is over. The next thing we should expect to be something along these lines, moving up to either one of these levels, and then see if the Dixie gets rejected from that level. So if that is the case, we are looking potentially at a Dixie move of another 3 3.5%. This is all part of the overall analysis that we said at the beginning when we said get into everything around here and get out of everything around here. It's all part of the same thing. Obviously, I make videos on a daily basis. There's no point in me just saying the same thing every single day when the overall analysis is based on a weekly. The big swing has been done now. Now we've got to see what reaction we have at this 50 now that we've closed above it once again. And stocks are pulling back and crypto is looking weak. And the FUD for Binance is real. We've got to sit back and admire the show, really, and recognize that we had a great time trading over these last 8 weeks. Despite the FTX situation, it's been pretty decent. But now it's time to sit back and evaluate and wait for the next major swing, which could swing us into a bull market. It could. But from what level? That's the thing to think about. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. By the way, my camera wasn't working today. I upgraded my computer, and for some reason, this webcam that I've got, which is obviously top notch, isn't working. So that's my daily. That's a day's work for me right there. Right, thank you, and yeah, stay safe out there. Take it easy.